Today we have Jerry Hayward, one of the world's leading experts in man-in-the-middle attacks, who is also the CTO of a new company called CipherTooth. Now, Jerry, there's been a lot in the news lately about Hillary Clinton and what's happened with her emails, and I know you were going to share some things about that.
So let me explain to you why this is such a big deal. It's not just that she was using a server that was insecure and had software that's out of date and may or may not have had certificates applied or that were out of date or invalid in some way. It's all the above. Because as you stack all of those things on top of each other, I mean, the first 3 months she went to China. While she was in China, she was accessing her email server without a certificate on it, which means nothing's encrypted, which means you can guarantee that the Chinese got her email address, password, and had full access to the server. They record everything. Okay, so you can guarantee that, but it's also the fact that if you look at the forensic evidence that's out there on the internet, IP address changes, the certificate problems, people having differing certificates for her server already registered and they're wondering why they have two. I can guarantee you that this server has been man-in-the-middle multiple times. We know, just looking at IP addresses and things that have accessed it, that it's probably been man-in-the-middle by the Chinese, by the Russians, by Iran, and by North Korea. And that's just to name a few. And at that point, there's a lot of things that are going to be going through a Secretary of State's email. I mean, just in the course of doing business, she's going to be doing things that are going to be interesting to both our friends and our enemies, where no matter how you want to slice it, it's bad to have that being man-in-the-middle, to have those emails out there. And when I talk about the emails being out there, if you've man-in-the-middle the server and you get her username and password, you can access the entire history of everything that's stored on the server that she can access. So if you've got emails from 2 years ago, she probably's got emails from 2 years ago. If you've got emails from 5 years ago, she's got emails from 5 years ago. Do we really want some foreign government filtering through all the communication for the last 5 years with the Secretary of State?
Why is a man-in-the-middle attack so dangerous in this type of a situation?
Well, a man-in-the-middle attack is dangerous because you don't know what's happening. The whole idea behind a man-in-the-middle attack is that it's a sneak attack. It's not like a DDoS where you're going to know, oh shoot, my website's inaccessible. You have a client machine and you have a server machine, and they're supposed to be talking and nobody else is supposed to be able to hear them. And the man in the middle literally inserts themselves in the middle, which is why it's called a man in the middle. And they pretend to be the server to the client, and they pretend to be the client to the server. And if it's done well, which nations can definitely do it well, then at that point you have complete transparency, or at least they think it's transparency, between the client and the server, and what they don't know is there's this pane of glass that's collecting everything in clear text in the middle.
So moving forward, what recommendation would you give to government officials in order to protect state secrets from attacks like man-in-the-middle attacks?
Well, they already have a whole list of things that they're supposed to be doing, and that's part of why you would have your email server and email address be behind the .gov, so it's all protected. But there's new and emerging technologies that help to detect man-in-the-middle attacks as they're in place. It's kind of like shining the light on the window from a different angle, and now you can see the reflection, and it's not transparent anymore. And there's a lot of companies, ours included, that are doing things like that, which will, of course, be useful to government as well as private industry, as well as private individuals who don't want their credentials stolen. CipherTooth has basically three things that we do that nobody else does. The first thing is that we put a marker on all of the packets of information that are going through the internet. And so if it's ever intercepted and retransmitted, we know that that's happened. And because we've got that marker and we can see when and where it got altered because it got intercepted and retransmitted, we can then tell where the hacker is. That's benefit number 2. And so if we have a hacker who gets in there, we can start saying, hey, everything that's coming through this router in Milwaukee is being man-in-the-middle, therefore we know it's this IP address, start looking in this 5-block area for the server that's doing this. So we can help the law enforcement officials actually catch these guys red-handed. And the third thing that we do is we have an encryption that we do kind of like HTTPS, only instead of one encryption algorithm, we're constantly changing the keys and the algorithms so that a hacker who's trying to decrypt the data never gets enough data that they're able to effectively hack the data stream. And so at that point, we can stop the transmission of the data, we can track the hacker down by continuing to use data so that they're still there. We can get law enforcement involved and they can find the server and hopefully catch the bad guy, which has been one of the problems with man-in-the-middle attacks. Since you don't know they're happening, it's hard to catch the guy while he's doing it.